Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Juan Carlos Brando, and I'm really excited for today's show with the attorney Margaret W. Wong, who has been working on the immigration field for over 40 years. And well, she has been working during several governments. She has gone through a lot and helping people every single year with different presidents, administrations, policies, politics, and going through everything that has been going in this country. And we are really excited and thankful that we have Miss Wong and she can talk about her experience. And also, based on her experience, she can give you some advice to your immigration needs. So, thank you so much, Miss Wong, for having us today. How are you doing?
I'm very good at thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Wong. Well, this week has been really a roller coaster in some aspects, not only in the immigration field, but also in Haiti, the earthquake, also Afghanistan, what's going on there, and some other measures that the government has implemented in this last week. One of them is about the asylum rules in the border, the southern border, and if you would like to start talking about it,
Yes.
what's going on with the asylum cases that are pending and people that are trying to come to the United States?
I really feel bad for people from the southern border coming up and from Haiti and from Afghanistan. So every day, I mean, personally, I remind myself how lucky we are for those of us who managed to come years ago or yesterday. And we're just so lucky and so blessed, in this country, because in the past 250 years, America never had a civil war. I mean, we did here and there, we had some a little bit of violence, but it's nothing compared to what other countries are going through. So really, God bless America, and I feel for them. As far as the southern border is concerned, right now, it's sort of still in a mess, but it's not as messy as when Trump was here. But really, a lot of people are coming, so America have to do something, and it's not just coming up the border. We have to make sure the American people in America are protected, on the virus, because the southern border, Latino countries right now, we have a lot of virus. So right now, one judge in the southern area already said you have to remain in Mexico. Um, a lot of people actually were sent back not because of this policy, but more because of the virus. They have to do testing, and remember, everything costs money. So we need to make America really doesn't have a budget. They just increase the infrastructure budget for more than $1 billion, but that's more to build American roads. I mean, if you look at like the Far East, like Japan, Singapore, China, we have all these highways, we have all these. America don't have it, so these are all issues that America is facing. But as far as coming up from the south, we reached like a 10-year high this month, which is really not too nice. So my advice and my take is only my personal opinion is maybe we should give the southern border people a break, and we should not give the Republicans and the media an excuse that, oh, too many people are coming, because we really need new laws by President Biden and Vice President Harris to give us not so much comprehensive reform, because they already said they'll do it piecemeal. We need 245I extension. We need to change perm bar. We need to talk about people who have been here 20, 30 years should get some sort of work permit, and then at least a driver's license and social security so they can file tax return. Because a lot of these people, what we are doing now is we use like living people's social and use their name to work. Really, the benefits benefit them. It doesn't benefit America, because when they retire, they have all these people who use their names and their social to work, so they could claim these people's retirement. And then in the meantime, the people who actually work won't get any retirement and may have to go on public charge, because all the money they paid into the system really are benefiting those people who. And then another way to do it is they'll buy numbers, for $80, $100, and use that to report tax. So there are hundreds and millions of dollars in the IRA, in the tax account or in the Social Security account, but nobody's claiming it. So bookkeeping in America is in a mess. So these are all things that we need to correct and we need to change.
Thank you so much, Miss Wong, for this information. And don't forget that you can call the office of Miss Wong and have more information on the 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. Thank you so much, Miss Wong, for sharing your experience. And well, we have Mohammed that has a question. He's asking if he can ask a question. I'm saying yes, but he's not texted yet the question that he has. So the next question is, I came from Honduras when I was 6 years old in 2002. I applied for DACA the first time, but it was denied because I was not in school. Then I got married to an US citizen in 2016, and we had a daughter. She filed for me, and the I-130 was approved, but the attorney said that I need to apply for DACA again. So I applied for DACA in March 2021 and got the receipt. But the problem is that I was detained in 2018 and I was put in an immigration hold. I paid for the bond. I got released through they gave me a hearing in 2022. My question is, will my DACA get approved before that hearing? What will happen after my I-130 is approved?
Okay, so basically there's three questions and think parallel track. I came to America when I was 6 years old, before June 15th of 19. I came to America when I was 6 years old, before June 15th of 2007. I applied. At that time, I did not apply for DACA. In the meantime, now I'm married to an American citizen. We have a child. I-130 is filed. In the meantime, because I did not apply for DACA, I was put into removal proceedings, and now the hearing is coming. It's that simple. Number one, what happened with DACA? Even if you are in removal proceedings, even if you have deportation, if you have enough qualification to prove you were here before the age of 16, and you never left in those 5 years, or brief and casual, so all these, I'm pretty sure your DACA will be approved. Right now, it's just very, very slow. It should be approved. Even if it's not approved because of prosecutorial, remember I talked about Ms. Chavez, prosecutorial discretion admin closed. You need to get to your lawyer even now, if not 2022. It depends on what state you are. Ohio does not admin close, so at least you can do prosecutorial discretion. Tell them you're waiting for DACA and see if they'll postpone the case or admin close the case if you are in the 4 other states. I won't worry. Once you get DACA, if they're willing to terminate your deportation, you get parole, you get in and out, because TPS parole after August of 2020, you can no longer file for adjustment of status. DACA, if you get parole, left and come back, you can still do adjustment of status. So you don't need the I-130 approval. So once you, prosecutorial discretion, DACA approval, if you have enough documents to prove you were here, because you were here since the age of 6. So I presume you went to kindergarten, you have all those shots, the little blue paper or yellow paper showing that you had American shots, a baptism record, your confirmation record from church, because most of us are Catholic. So all those things, if you saw a doctor and use your own name, because we have a lot of children who made themselves older and use another name because they were scared. It's not a problem case. You have a very good case. Keep doing well, be nice to your family, and keep working. You'll be fine. No problem.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wong. And don't forget that you can call 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. And that's a very interesting question. Somebody here is saying parallel track, Margaret is the best, is Paul Isherwood. So thank you, Paul, for this comment. Tina is asking, how long does it take to receive a receipt notice from work permit application?
6 weeks to 2.5 to 3 months. And then they'll send you a notice of a fingerprint. Sometimes, lately, a lot of these notices say you can reuse your fingerprint.
Okay, thank you so much. And we have a very interesting question here, Ms. Wong. And this person says, my girlfriend was planning to come to the United States and surrender at the border. Now they changed the rules. I think that person is asking or saying about the stay in Mexico policy. What happens if she tries to come through the river? Can she still apply for asylum?
That's a very good question. What they are saying is instead of coming as surrender and you can apply for asylum, that really started under Trump. In the olden days, nobody surrendered. I mean, you can surrender, but you were kicked out, under Bush, the two Bushes, and under Obama. So yes, you can still come through river. So the question is, if my girlfriend come undocumented and nobody stopped him, can he still apply asylum? Yes, as long as you apply within a year, you could.
Interesting. Well, it's dangerous though, and you need to be careful about that. So, thank you so much, Miss Wong, for this answer. We have some other questions coming through our inbox. So, the next question is, Miss Wong, um, a person that is in South Africa and they have a small business in South Africa. They have a friend in the United States, and I don't have any other families. What this person says, um, can I establish my business in America and try to get an investment or some other kind of visa?
Yes. Basically, if you own a business in South Africa, it's a pretty good business. You can come to American L1. I don't have a list here, but if you Google USCIS, you would know South Africa is an E status country treaty. So if you could come on a E, you need to invest at least 150,000 US dollars. It could not be just buy a house, buy a condo. It has to be income producing. So that's two ways. The other way is what we call the investment green card. It's EB5. So if you invest 500,000 right now after July 1st, there's no more, I should say no more, but right now the laws are on hold. So if you do a direct investment creating 10 new jobs and invest 500,000, then you can still maybe win EB5. These are the three ways for investment. So L1, E2, if it's on the list of South Africa, I don't have my list and I'm sorry. So you just have to check it. If not, do EB5. If not, you may want to come just even as a tourist to check around to see what kind of business you want to invest in. Because what you see on TV, America, we all have propaganda. America propaganda to foreign countries propaganda to American countries to increase trade, to increase tourism. America is not what we think, that, oh, if I invest some money, I'll make money. Sometimes we lose money. Then I don't want you to lose your hard-earned money because the South American dollars is so much cheaper now than the US dollars. The whole world, US dollars and Chinese yuan are really going up and the rest of the world is going down. So, but these are ways to come. But I would even try to come as a tourist visa, as a student visa, just to look around, see if that's what you want to do and look for investment opportunities. Don't just look at, Robin Hood on the web or look at, Vanguard or something. So, oh, America, we can invest a lot of money. That's not really what the real America is about.
Yeah, thank you so much, Miss Wong. Well, I just verified what you are saying. They don't have an E treaty.
Okay, thank you. No
Yes, thank you
E-treaty.
so
So
much.
do EB5, come as a tourist, come as a student, or do a L1 if you own a business. Maybe build the business there and do an intra-company executive. That's an L1 case. If not, go to Canada, land there, and after 3 years become a citizen and come as an E2 because Canada has a very strong E2 and Mexico too. A lot of Chinese now going to Mexico, get the Mexico visa, come in as an E2.
Thank you so much, Miss Wong. Don't forget that the phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. Jose is asking, who is ICE targeting now?
There was a time they target a lot of Chinese because Chinese people were so scared about giving them passports. And also they'll put us in jail for 6 months. And also in the 70s and 60s, because the FBI, the police, they don't go to Chinatown, Korean town to police us because they're really scared of all those, those guns. And so the Koreans, the older immigrants, we sort of police ourselves. So a lot of us have old criminal records. So in those days, they target people like us. But now they very much target the Latinos. There was a time they target the Nigerians, the Ghanaians, but now because of the really serious Black voices, they really target the Latino people.
Well, and actually, I was watching a video today of some youngsters that were racing on the roads here in Atlanta, and then they were Hispanic. So we need to be careful about this. We don't need to give a bad reputation to our community that we are doing this or that. They need to know our community as um, hardworking community, which is the majority of the Hispanic people that come to the United States. So I'm so sad that this happens. Sometimes are just kids that want to do something with the car of mom or dad, and then they get in trouble. So please don't do that. And thank you so much, Miss Wong, for each counsel or advice that you're giving us each Thursday on this show. So the phone number is 216-279-3984. 216-279-3984. 9 offices in the United States: Atlanta, Chicago, Columbus, Cleveland, Memphis, Minneapolis, Nashville, New York, and Raleigh, North Carolina. And you can call 216-279-3984. 216-279-3984. Monica is asking, how complicated is to win a 10-year cancellation of removal case?
It's not complicated. As I said, lawyers are just like electricians, plumbers. Maybe we have more education. Ultimately, it's a craft. How do you craft the narrative of a case? How do you prove grandparents, spouse, or children have extreme hardship to allow so the parents could stay in America, or one of the parents have to stay in America to take care of them? The extreme hardship. In the olden days, I've been doing this for 45 years. Oh my gosh. Years ago, there was a 7-year suspension rule, which means that you don't even need parents, spouse, or child to have hardship. You just need yourself to have hardship, which is a lot easier. If I couldn't go back, if I have to go back, I could not support my family. If I couldn't, so it's me, that's easier. Now I have to prove my children have to support, needs my support. My parents need my support. So it's becoming, but it's absolutely nothing is complicated. It's all here. I always tell my listeners and my family and my colleagues and my clients, people like us, we came to America alone. Whatever happens to us, we determine our own destiny. You only have 3 things you can rely on. Not that you don't love your wife and your husband, not that you don't want your children. It's here, it's your brain and your mind, your heart. Sometimes you have to listen to yourself. You can't just listen to your lawyers, your spouse. You have to listen, and your gut. Is what does your gut tell you? Now I'm learning, because we have, in our law firm, we have CFOs, we have people who go get an MBA. Now they're statistic. Now they're talking about running a statistically driven operation. My feeling is you have to listen to yourself. If your gut tells you you can win this case, you listen. You don't just look at data and say, oh, most Mexican cases are lost, so I'm going to lose this case. No, you build your case. You do the one case in front of you. And I strongly believe in that. So listen to your own gut. If you feel you should win this case, you need to give your lawyer all the information at one time. The little tricks when you work with lawyers or doctors or your minister is don't every day give something and call them. Collect everything: 10-year tax return, 15 years tax return. Do you come legally or illegally? Did you leave and come back, legally or illegally? And if you came legally, did you do that purpose? For example, I came as a student. Did I go to school on that case? Or I went to school, but it's not to this school, but to that school. So why didn't you go to that school? But that's fraud entry. Stuff like that. You really have to look at the details of your case and build the case. It's not just the 10 years. It's in the meantime who died, who was threatened, because gang violence from Latino countries or Hispanic countries is no longer as important as under Trump, but now Biden is coming back. Sexual violence is a very good case, matter of AB. So those are cases Biden just came in and redo it. Being gay, that's another thing. being gay itself is not as important as were you abused, because in most foreign countries, except probably also in America, because gay people are suffering. So how did you suffer? What happened to you? You have to be, and I know it's painful. I have clients who say, oh, I talked to you 5 years ago, but I never told you, blah, blah, blah. And I understand that, but you have to tell me, because if you don't tell me, who are you going to tell? Because, not me, but my colleagues, my partners, my lawyers, my paralegals. So we need to do all this. So absolutely no, it's not complicated. We just need to work very hard.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wong, for sharing this information. And don't forget, 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. Shyam is asking this next question. After 2 years stay in the U.S. on tourist visa, can I still apply for asylum?
Okay, there are two rules that apply here. Three rules. Number one, I came legally. When's my first year? So legal entry is still the first year. So for example, I came on January 1st of 2019. My 1 year would expire on January 1st, 2020, right? The 1 year rule applies. On the other hand, if you're in status, technically, you don't have to worry about the 1 year rule, because, for example, I came on January 1st of 1919. I'm good till June or July 1st or June 30th of 2019, but I didn't file asylum until later. But on the other hand, at that time, I filed an extension. My extension is approved. So technically, even though the 1 year rule starts with date of entry, your legal status rule also sort of covered the 1 year, because it depends on, did I work illegally? Did I report tax? Did I, so once your legal entry, the 2 year rule don't really apply. The third rule then becomes is, what's the extraordinary circumstances, exceptional circumstances that you miss your 1 year, or you apply in 2 years, or even 3 years or 10 years? What happened to you? I was raped. I had a lot of post-traumatic stress syndrome. And that, until I really, now that I don't have I couldn't enjoy, whatever. Now I have this repressed memory. So we have, because a lot of these, sometimes it's, it's misrepresentation, but as long as we can prove it, how do you prove post-stress, post-PTSD, So these are things that you can overcome. There's a lot of things like, even though gang violence is not, general gang violence is not as important, but it's not just general gang violence. They threatened 10 houses down from me. So you need to Google, where's your house in Mexico or in Guatemala? How did you meet this guy that's like 20 years older than you, and you're Catholic? So he had no protection. 20-year-old guy, you were 15, the guy is 35. How could he not protect you? What kind of man is that? Oh, I have young people, actually 25 years old now, that have kids that's 10 years old. So how did you get pregnant? How old is the guy? Oh, it's with consent. I said, hey, you're 15 years old. You didn't even go to school. Your parents wanted you to marry the guy because they want to kick you out because you're no longer a virgin. How can you give consent when you're 15 years old? And they say, oh, okay. So these are things that you really need to look at each asylum case on its own and really come out with something. And you have to look at the birth of other children, how many men are. So I have some clients who have like 5 dads, and they're only 35 years old, and they're 5 men. So you don't assume that she's a slut. Ask them, what happened to this one man? How did another man become the father? Why is this man not on the birth certificate? Was that because you're ashamed, or was that because he refused to acknowledge the baby, or he actually kicked you out of the house? So you have to ask and ask and ask, because sometimes they just don't know better. They just think, oh my gosh, I'm so illegal. I need a man to support me. That's another thing. This reverse discrimination. And why do you need a man to support you? Or why do you need a woman to support you? Because they're used to it. They're used to their mother and, their father and a husband who's 25 years older than them. And suddenly they don't have him anymore. So what do? They find another man, but we need to educate them and say, you need to go to school. You need to do this. You need to do this. So, oh, really? I'm sorry. I go off because I just, sometimes
No, you're good.
my clients, I'm like, oh, why do you do that?
And it's
Yeah.
good to know that, Ms. Wong, because as an attorney, sometimes you have to be a psychologist as well.
Right.
And sometimes you need to talk about something else, and then you can find something where you can help people get an immigration relief. So thank you so much, Ms. Wong, for this answer. The phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. This next question is, my husband applied for me. He's an U.S. citizen. His income is $21,000 a year. I'm sorry. He has a daughter and he has many debts. I was required a joint sponsor, and this possible joint sponsor earns around 55,000 dollars a year, but he has sponsored about 5 people about 5 years ago and 3 years ago. Can he sponsor me, and what are the minimum requirements for
It
this person?
depends if he makes 55,000, if he have a wife and also three minor children, and he has sponsored 3 or 5 people 3 or 5 years ago. There are two ways to get around it. Number one is to ask if any of these people became citizens, because the law is you're supposed to sponsor them after they work for 40 quarters, which is 10 years, or if they became citizen, then they need to stop. So, and also you have to make sure someone who makes 55,000, you already had sponsor all these people, I probably won't even use them, because then it's just a little bit leery, because it used to be people would pay, like, I'll pay you $3,000 and will you sponsor me and my family? And people do that, and so, but I would never marry your husband. Why would he only make 21,000 and he has a lot of debts and he has a daughter? So how old is the daughter? Because one person is 25,000. He already have a daughter, so he needs to make at least 35,000. And why does he have so many debts? Immigration is going to look at this case, because maybe he report his lower income, because then the child can get on Medicaid, Medicare, welfare. Anytime you marry someone who's on Medicaid, Medicare, welfare, they normally don't tell the welfare department they're married, because your income would inure to him and he would have to stop his Section 8. I don't mean to be rude about this. That's the first thing immigration looks at is his income, because the higher income, the less fraud. And also depends on what country he's from. So these are things that normally look at. Is he a naturalized citizen? Is he a local born citizen? So they will look at this case. And what does he do? If he's a nursing assistant, they normally make about 25 if he's willing to make overtime. So people like us, we know income, we know what people make. And depends on how old. Was he disabled at one time? Did he join the Army, the Navy? Because the Army and Navy people don't make too much, but at least they cannot underreport. But also there's some base in the southern borders. They marry a lot of girls just to help them get a green card, because they're really nice people. So these are things I would look at on this case. That's why a lawyer cannot just look at, oh, you bona fide marriage. Oh, it looks good. You're 25, she's 24. Oh, perfect. Oh, you met each other. Oh, you're engaged last year. You really have to look at, how did I come to America? When I came to America, what did I tell the American embassy, the USDOS? Was I married? Was I single? A lot of times I say I was married when I was single, because it's easier to get a visa. Now you need a pardon. A waiver means that I have lied, but then with someone making only 21,000, I have a daughter, they're going to ask, what's going on here? So these are things that I would look at.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Wong. And yeah, this is a very, very important thing for people to know. And well, it's true. Why would a person marry a person that has a lot of debts and maybe don't know how to manage money? And well, it depends on many things. But if you want more advice, please give Ms. Wong a call. The phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. And another question, Ms. Wong. I am from Honduras. I have a business which is a call center. We provide services to a lot of companies, including banks and financial establishments. And we would like to establish the business in the United States. How hard could it be? And can we start it from Honduras? And thank you so much.
Nothing is hard if you put your mind to it. Yes, you can start in Honduras. Depends on how many people you hire, how much reporting, because I'm sure in a lot of these countries you don't report everything, because there's ways to get around it. if it so depends on how many people you hire, how much money you make. You can always do an L1 visa, and again, I don't know if Honduras is on the e-visa status, but L1 is a good case. If you hire enough people, if you run a good business, you've established a business in America, and then you can do a transfer of that chief executive or intra-company transfer back and forth. That's L case. Then to get a green card is what we call the EB1A, EB11 or EB1A, because B and C is a different case. Then you need to hire at least 5 or 6 people in America, but depends. Absolutely, you can start it in Honduras, but if you already have a tourist visa, because you're a business person, it's not that hard to get a tourist visa. I would come to America first. Make sure you make money in America on a call center, because call center is always cheaper overseas. That's why a lot of these companies, they go to India to start call center. They go to other countries because labor is cheaper. American labor is very high, and you can't get people to work. So I would look at that. You can also establish another type of business as long as the L1 is approved. And to do an L1, there's no capital requirement. You just need to make sure you show the success of the Honduras company.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Wong. And this last question is very interesting. This person says, my aunt came to the United States on December 2019 and she got stuck here because of the quarantine. Then she applied for the extension, but she never received an answer and she went back to Venezuela. Now she received the denial because she didn't put her finger print, and she wants to come back to the United States. She stayed here until January 2021, so she was without a status for about 200 days. So is there a way that she can appeal or file a waiver because it was not her intention to stay or overstay her visa?
The lucky thing is, I presume she still have a good visa. I would go to a good airport and show. So that's a problem with tourist visa extension. Normally, you don't get it in 5 months. Sometimes you get it in 9 months. By then, it's denied. So I always advise my clients, whenever we do a B2 extension, you need to make sure after 5.5 months, even though it's not approved, you file another one. So ultimately, you have to let it catch up, and then you leave the country. Even then, whenever you come back, they'll ask, why did you stay over because of the virus? Then you have to prove how bad the virus is and stuff like that. So it depends. If she's now still in Venezuela, the case may be better. But if she's in another country, I would just try to come back, bring all the extension, bring the denial, and argue, because technically you have to talk about 3 or 10-year bar. If you're out of status more than 180 days, you cannot come back in 3 years. If you're out of status for more than 360 days, you cannot come back in 10 years. So I presume the young lady who said she's out of status for more than 200 days, so you're less than 10 years, but you're out for 3 years. I would just try to come back, but withdraw admission if they won't let you. So don't let them expeditiously remove you, but apply for admission. If not, apply for asylum, because it's not fair. Because the Venezuelan people, if they stay even undocumented, they could get TPS already. But because she left, she couldn't get TPS. I would try to come back, explain it, get ready, because she'll get very nervous. Go to a nice airport. Sometimes you meet some nice officers, they understand the situation.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Wong. Our time is up for today, but we had very, very interesting questions coming in. And if you need more information, please give us a call, 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984, the attorney Margaret W. Wong. Thank you so much, Ms. Wong. Is there any other thing that you want to mention before we dismiss?
I just want to congratulate everybody. Now is a very good time. Biden already said no more deportation. So even if you have a final order, especially from Hong Kong, from Venezuela, you could get TPS. Also, even Haiti, because even though it's such a horrible place with the earthquake and stuff, maybe file something. I don't think our government would deny it, even though openly they're not saying anything. And regarding Afghanistan, I'm very sorry about what happened. But in the meantime, the people that's already in America, you can always file maybe deferred action or something, even though the law didn't really pass, and see if they give you at least a work permit.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wong, and see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. And for you, for everybody who has joined us today, don't forget to give us a call 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. The attorney Margaret